أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. Eid Mubarak to you all. Inshallah, you all had an amazing Eid. Welcome back to another session where we are joined here today with Yaz Guru. We will be in a second. Our relationship coach, where we are discussing all things relationships. Today, inshallah, the topic that we are going to be discussing is how and when to discuss personal topics with a potential spouse. How and when to discuss personal topics with a potential spouse, as Yaz Guru likes to say, addressing the elephant in the room. So we're going to give it a minute for her to join, and then inshallah we are going to go ahead and get started. I just want to say Jazakumullah khair, thank you all so much for sending in your questions. Alhamdulillah, we had a lot of questions and we will be going ahead and asking those today to Yaz live. If you do have any questions, please do send them in. We'll address those at the end. We will be giving priority to those questions that we have received beforehand, inshallah. So,
Assalamu alaikum.
Hey, walaikum salam. How are you?
Good, how are you doing?
Alhamdulillah, Eid Mubarak.
Eid Kareem. Eid Kareem. Really nice to see you, Sophia.
MashaAllah, likewise, you look great, MashaAllah. Third
Good
day
to
Eid.
So do you in your Medina Institute? I see it in Atlanta, alhamdulillah.
Yeah. We are at Medina Institute on the ladies' side. I'm sure you can see the brother side in the background, MashaAllah.
Yes.
MashaAllah.
Everyone. Thank you guys for joining.
MashaAllah. How are you? How's things?
Good. I feel I'm feeling a little bit kind of my health has taken a bit of a hit, but I'm trying to figure it out. So all of your du'as.
May Allah grant you shifa, inshallah. Inshallah. Thank you so much for joining us. Even though you're not feeling too well, Allah grant you shifa, inshallah.
Thank you.
Inshallah. We're going to go ahead and get started because I know last time the feedback was absolutely amazing. And one of the things that everybody was saying was the session was not long enough. So I'm going to refrain from speaking and let you, mashallah, take over.
It's always good to have people want more. That's better to have them asking for more than to be like,
mashallah.
Just roll out of here.
Yeah, mashallah. I went back and listened to the session and it was fantastic. If you haven't watched the last session, for those of you who have logged in, it was how to find a husband the halal way. And me as a married woman going back and watching that session, there was so many gems. So just life in general advice, it was brilliant. So please do go back and watch it. Inshallah, today we're going to be discussing how and when to address personal topics with a potential spouse.
Yes.
And we've had a number of great questions. And I'm going to go ahead and get started with the first one. This is a brilliant question, something that I know many people have asked me as well. It's how can we make it easier for Black Muslims to get married? Black Muslims are often open to marrying people of any racial or ethnic background, yet they experience more difficulty than others in marrying within the Muslim community.
Yeah, subhanAllah. First, I want to start off by saying Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa sahbihi ajma'in. You know, the plight of individuals who are looking to get married but are facing systemic racism is very, very serious. Our Black brothers and sisters in particular have had to deal with years of systemic racism within societies, and whether that be Muslim or non-Muslim. So it's a very, very tough thing. I think that one of the most important things I'll tell to my Black brothers and sisters is that don't be with somebody who is even slightly uncomfortable with who you are because of how you were born. Don't even approach a family if you know that that family is not an acceptance of you because of something as not just not controllable as skin color, but as ignorant as the pigmentation in someone's skin. And I think if you are in your full worth and your full value, you will not allow yourself to enter into a family that can't love you and can't see you fully. So I want you to know how weighty you are with God, how special you are, how important you are, and how that importance is cheapened and lessened when you enter into a conversation with a family that says already like, I'm unsure about you because of your race. Well, why am I lowering from my worth and value so that you can have a conversation with me? I don't want to do that. So I want all of our Black brothers and sisters to just be in their full worth and value, know exactly what they're bringing to the table, and be proud of the way that God created you, because it's perfect. God created you so perfect. He made you so, so perfect. And I think the more that you sit in that, the more that any family that seems to have it twisted on that issue, you'll say, I'm worth a family that will love and accept me. I am valuable enough to have in-laws that see my worth and my value. And if they can't, then they don't deserve to be around me. Right? Then they don't have the privilege of having me in their family. It's a privilege and an honor to have you a part of a family. And I need you to walk in with that kind of energy. We as a community have to also do better in speaking about this. I think some scholars speak about this more than others. I think that there is now a more, I would say, increased awareness of the fact that these kinds of topics have to be addressed. In particular, I like Sheikh Suhaib Webb's take on this, and seeing him as also as an ally to have, lectures and things that you can have your parents listen to, that you can have people, Sheikh Omar Suleiman is another one that really just talks about that directly. Right? And they say that this is something that is a remnant of the arrogance of the past that we have to break free from. Someone's saying here, not even just that, you have to want to marry into a family, right, who know the true deen and no way does Islam accept racism. Sad that it's in every culture, and may Allah make it easy for us. Ameen. And if someone is basically engaged in that kind of behavior, they lose the privilege of interacting with you. So I will just say, like, make sure that you are looking for allies in this, in the spiritual space, to educate your family, to educate our communities. But for you, especially Black brothers and sisters, like, don't get yourself with people that can't see your worth. And especially, like, this should be kind of like a question, like, right off the bat, like, how do your family feel about people who are African American or who are Black? Do you have any examples in your family of people who have married outside of your culture? Do you have examples within your community that your parents can point to that are successful marriages? People, do your family members have friends who are Black or African American? Those are the kinds of questions that you can start asking in those first 3 conversations that I talk about in my rule of 3, where you can start weeding out if no one in the family interacts with people of different races, doesn't have friends, doesn't have close friends, doesn't have people that, maybe they look up to, whether it be in scholarship or in business dealings and travel, whatever it might be, all the ways that the Prophet ﷺ told us how you get to know people. If you have no knowledge, no experience with people of different races, then it may not be a good fit for you as a Black Muslim, brother or sister, to be involved with someone who can't see you because they don't even know how to interact with you. So I want you just to be in your worth, boo. Like, you got to be in your value. You have to be. And the way that you walk, the way that you talk, the way that you show that pride in who you are, that permeates every bit of your life. And it's going to make the other person have to stand up straighter to respect you.
That's beautiful. That's know your worth, sisters, mashallah. And that's something that I know a lot of sisters have been asking. And this there's another question that comes off of that is, what about, and I know that somebody else asked this question, was what about if the man himself is okay, but it's his family, and normally, generations, it's the parents, it's the grandparents who have issues with that, whether it's, somebody from a different background or anything like that. So what would you recommend? Is it worth going through that, or would you say it's best to,
Yeah, my honest opinion on that is sometimes families can come around because you can get allies within the community. You can give them spiritual reminders. You can remind them, give us prophetic reminders. And I don't believe in like writing anybody off completely. But when we're talking about marriage, you are talking about not just marrying that person in front of you. You're talking about marrying a family. You're talking about marrying into a tradition, marrying into a way of being. Mm. And so if that way of being doesn't even see you, and you've got to fight to be seen.
Right.
You've got to fight to just be seen. I don't like that. I don't like putting our Black brothers and sisters through that. Why are you fighting a family member to be able to, like, you are worth a family member who actually can speak to you and talk to you in your full humanness. So I don't like things that degrade or demean a human being from their full humanness. And I think that racism does that. So I would not recommend, fighting that battle with someone's family, because you deserve a family that loves you.
SubhanAllah.
You do.
Absolutely.
And inshallah, like, yes, maybe hopefully they can change their views slowly over time. But when we're talking about marriage, like, you're giving your heart and soul as in companionship with someone. And I feel like your heart and soul are too weighty. They just weigh too much. And I think that you just open yourself to a level of vulnerability and a level of lack of safety that is just not fair.
Right. MashaAllah. That's fantastic advice. I know the sisters that were asking the questions are online. I hope that's beneficial. And if you do have anything else you want to ask, bouncing off of that, then please do feel free, inshallah. But we're going to go ahead and address the next question, which is really, I know a lot of people struggle with this question. One of the sisters is asking, I have a condition which makes it difficult to be intimate. I am having physical therapy, but how do I bring that up with a potential spouse?
Sure.
I also have some gynecological issues, and in addition to my age, it may be difficult for me to have children. How do I bring that up with a potential spouse?
Yeah, so this is a very big topic, and I do think that it's great that the sister is addressing those issues. So if we have any kind of intimate or sexual pain or issues that would prevent us from having a sexual relationship that is one of pleasure and one of ease, we should be addressing those beforehand. I do think that it does take a bit of trust that builds between you and another partner before you start talking about things like that. I think with the fertility issue too, that people can get, I don't know if she's thinking theoretically or if she's had an egg count to see how many eggs does she have, like what does her fertility look like, or if she's saying, if she has a condition like endometriosis or PSOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome, that makes it more difficult just on average to get pregnant. I think that those kinds of things do need to come out. They need to come to bear. They do need to be shared, but I would not share them right off the bat. So I have kind of, like gates that I like to pass. So in the first 3 conversations, I just say, do you get along? Can you vibe with each other? Do you have a sense of wanting to know more about that person and sharing input on your life, getting input from them? Or sharing input on their life and getting input from them on your life. That should be kind of your measure in those first 3 conversations. Then I always say in the first 3 months, you should be exploring deeper levels of compatibility. So this is where you should be asking questions that involve, family background, that involve educational goals that you want for future children, things of that nature. And I think that an issue about medical concerns needs to come up within those 3 months. So some people feel comfortable enough to, if things are going very well, to kind of address those issues in the 2nd month and say, like, okay, we've had like 1 month of conversation where we've talked about, all the different aspects of my, family history, of my goals, of what like my vision for my future looks like, and like my personality, just getting to know my personality, getting to know somebody when you're talking to them on a weekly basis. I do think that within the 2nd month, from that 3 months, chunk of time where I say within those 3 months, you should know if you have an emotional connection to someone else. I think that's when you have to address it and say, listen, I do have, some medical issues that I have that I am, getting treatment for. And I do want to address these with you because, people have the right to know those things, but they don't have the right to know until they build a trusting relationship with you. And I do think that takes time. Some people are like, oh, how could you do that? Like, now I like you. Now you've hooked me into you. And now you're coming with this like huge information. The reason that I don't subscribe to that is that I think that some people write people off right off the bat, not knowing that there are other issues that everyone has. Every single person going to have their baggage. Everybody. You might think, oh, this person, look at this, like they don't have high blood pressure and they seem to be kind and their family seems to be normal. And then it's like you get married to them and it's like, oh my God, their family's like this. They've got high cholesterol, like they have a hoarding issue. They can't keep things organized, whatever it might be. Like, there's always going to be something. And that's why I always say, if it's something that is difficult and it's medically related, it needs to be shared within those 3 months. And the reason I say within the second month is that usually I think that within that first month and then month and a half, you get to a sense of whether you can trust someone or not. And the reason I say that is because when you're sharing that sensitive information, you obviously want the other person not to blast you for that. You don't want the other person to share that information with someone else. And we know, like, from the spiritual position, when we share things about other people that are given to us in confidence, this is like a major lack of decorum. That's a very dishonorable trait. And we know, and when God is saying it, in Hadith Qudsi, when he's talking about himself, like, that God will take the person who has hidden the faults of their brothers and sisters and will take them and have adab with them on the day of judgment, to also share their faults with them in private. We're not talking about public harms. We're not talking about people who are pariah, who are criminals. No, we're talking about people who share something personal with you, maybe that they're struggling with, a personal issue that was difficult for them to share with you, something very private, and that you keep that private because it has no business being shared with other people. So I do think that trust needs to be created, and I don't think that person you're duping anybody by waiting to tell them. I think you have to develop trust first, but I think that it's not wasting people's time if it's done within those first 3 months, because I think by the third month you should figure out, do I have an emotional connection with this person, with this someone? Is this going to be my forever someone? Is this going to be maybe someone that I want to spend a lot of time with, so that I can move on to the next level of talking about commitment timelines?
Right, that's great. And I remember the advice you gave last week. I thought it was fantastic. A lot of people nowadays, when they're talking to people, they don't know, hey, when can I disclose certain things? When should I be talking to somebody? When do I know this isn't going anywhere? And I thought it was brilliant, the advice you gave last month. I've been sharing it with sisters that have been asking me. The 2 weeks for the video call, and then the 3 months for meeting in person.
Exactly.
And I think that's a great timeline for those who are watching, inshallah. So there's another question. I was going to ask that later, but I'll ask it now because I think this is it's kind of related. But the sister was asking, how should a woman over the age of 35 approach finding a spouse? And I know that you are a retired matchmaker, mashallah. So as far as how to put yourself out there, another sister actually said that I don't want to come across looking unattractive.
Okay.
So, putting myself out there to say,
like looking needy or looking like somehow desperate in any way. Look, first of all, when you're in your full worth and you're in your full value, that kind of curbs that issue of desperation. Like, if you carry yourself like, I'm a beautiful person, I'm a whole person, and God created me in a beautiful way. Like, when you have those affirmations that you say to yourself every single morning, I think it changes your overall sense of being. When you have intentionality and say, oh Allah, I am asking you, oh God, I am asking you to help me find a spouse so that I can complete half my religion, so that I may be able to follow in the tradition of the Sunnah, so that I may be in the prophetic example. When you walk in intentionality, I think committed action comes after that. And I think people are like, they kind of discount this. They don't think that this is very important, but it's actually really important that you're speaking to yourself in a kind way, in a way that God loves you and has your back, and he has preserved you. When someone asks you, why aren't you married? You say, SubhanAllah, Allah has not given me the timing and the opportunity to do that, and I am content with my Lord. I'm content with my Lord. You have to speak like that in a way that is very clearly at peace with the timing of your life and very clearly in your worth, and say, the person who hasn't, the person who is going to be my 100% perfect match for me hasn't come yet. Because like I said, I don't want you at 75%. I'm not looking at an 80%. No, I'm looking at 100%. My heart feels at ease and I am okay. I am in a place of acceptance of what God has given me. And I think that when you're over 35, there are lots of different avenues that you can take to try to find someone. But I always will say this: joining civic organizations and different communities, different religious communities, and different activities that actually speak to your interests and that are about self-investment are the single best ways to find someone. So a lot of people find individuals while they're volunteering, while they're doing something that they love, like, you know, the local group that does hiking, the local group that does spiritual retreats, the one that goes off and travels to do, you know, to take photographs, like people who are in your different interest groups that excite you, things that excite you, things that make you feel energized about life. I think being a part of these organizations are the single most important way to meet people who think alike, and who are searching for the same goals. Telling all your friends and family and say, I do feel that I'm in that space where I'm really looking. If someone comes across, your eyes and they seem like someone that would get along with me, that would vibe, like, you know me well, please let me know. I would love to, I would love to meet someone. And then telling everyone that you know, and then of course getting on the apps is another option, right? Getting on the apps, seeing how things look, but intentionality. The intentionality of getting on the apps is very important. Say, oh God, this is my intent. My intent is to find someone who's good, but it may not be good for me, and I'm okay with that too. It may not be the right time for me, and I'm okay with that too. Because I'm going to continue to invest in my life. I'm going to continue to be in my full worth. No, I'm not desperate. I'm not desperate when I'm trying to seek God's pleasure. You don't look bad when you're trying to seek a halal means, when you're looking for the correct means to worship your Lord, to be in the prophetic tradition, to find companionship. In fact, when you search for companionship, you are in the prophetic tradition. You are following the sunnah. So every single second that you are searching for that companionship, it's ibadah for you. It's counted as worship for you. But it has to be with the right intent. And it has to be with the, like, I want you to have swagger, 35 plus. I want you to have swagger. I want you to be like, I know myself. I know myself. I know I'm a good person. I know I'm fun. I know that I know all the things that are not okay with me. And I know exactly what I have accepted about myself. And I know how I'm working on myself to improve myself. I know what I'm interested in. And I'm going to go out there and I'm going to build. And I'm going to make sure that the person that I seek companionship with will be someone who shares my life with me.
Wow.
Shares my life with me. And like, I'm having a party inside. God created me having a full blast on, like, happy joy in my fitrah. I am in my fitrah. I am so blessed to be here. I'm so blessed to be in service. I'm so blessed to know myself. I'm so blessed to know exactly what my purpose is, 35 plus. You know exactly what your purpose is. That's a blessing. So I'm going to have this party. So y'all are invited to my party, but if you don't want to come over, I'm still having this party. I'm still having this party. Whether you come over or not. So you need to get in your swagger a little bit. You need to get in your, like, you need to get a little bit hype. Like, alhamdulillah, I am in gratitude and God will only increase me. God will only increase me. Like, you are a very rare unicorn, 35 plus. Okay? You are a very rare unicorn. So, like, sit with that for a second. Especially you've been married before, you're 35 plus, if you've been married before, like, you know exactly what's up. And so instead of doubting yourself and not trusting yourself, put all your trust in God. Put all your trust in God and say, I'm not going to doubt myself one more second, God, because I know you have my back. I'm not going to doubt anymore, God, because I have to have trust in your plan. And you will always look out for me. You will always look out for me. And I am in acceptance of that. So that's what I would tell you, 35 plus. You know, I love you. Know thyself. My husband's on here. Know thyself. Yes. And he's like, I know myself. Yes, you do, boo. Yes, you do.
I thought that was him, mashallah.
Yeah, it's him from outside. He's playing in the garden with the kids while I'm here. Yeah.
Whilst watching you whilst being in the garden. I love that.
Yeah.
Mashallah.
Yeah.
You know, I was going to ask you something in response to that, because you said something really which I think sat with me. That you said connecting when you go to, like, social events, when you come to, for example, the masajid or, you know, stuff like that, hiking groups, right, and stuff like that.
Right.
I get a lot of sisters coming to me and asking me, you know how it is, I'm in the masjid all the time. A lot of sisters come and say, I'm sure you know a lot of brothers. I'm sure your husband knows a lot of brothers. Please let me know. And I'm always very, very hesitant because I don't want to vouch for somebody that,
Sure.
you know how it is. I don't want to say, oh, this person, and I've done it in the past and things, you know, haven't been so great. I don't know the person, you know, fully. The brother
Sure.
sees a picture of the sister and then he's avoiding her. He doesn't really want to, you know, get involved, and it gets super awkward. So
Yeah.
how can we make it easier for people like myself who are in situations where, you know, we come across people all the time. So
Yeah,
how
actually,
do we make it
I
easier?
have a very Mondays about that, Sophia, of like how to
Oh,
set up
okay.
people. Like, you know, there's so many people who are married and they get hounded by people who are not married, like the single people, like, hook it up. You got responsibilities to us. Remember your obligation. Just because you're happy doesn't mean that like you get to like go off into the sunset. And of course you're thinking married, you're like, I'm not going off into the sunset. It's not always, you know, sunshine and kittens and
You know that.
and you know, and rainbows and butterflies out here. It's hard. But I
Yeah.
will tell you this, I think it's so important that for the people who are married, like just in general, when we're talking about setting expectations, you know, for people, setting expectations for people and saying like, I'm going to create a safe place for people to meet, but then it's on you. You know, it's like, it's not on me whether or not someone's character is this way and I can vouch for them and like ask about them. Maybe figure out who knows them. You should figure out who knows them. And I always say this too, like you should never go forward in marrying someone without seeing them with their friends and family. No person is a piece of fruit that's just dropped from a tree. No, they came from a tree. And you need to know where those roots came from. So get to know someone. I'm not saying hold someone hostage to their past. That's not what I'm saying. But you need to know that they can keep relationships. So if they're like, yeah, I don't got no friends. Nobody knows me. That's a problem, right? Like you need to see who do they have continuous relationships with. I think that's a very big indicator of character and how someone can keep and hold on to longevity of relationships. But you as the person who facilitates, you have to make it really clear like that the expectation should be, I'm providing a space for you to meet, but it's all on you after that. Like you got to figure it out. I don't know this person. I don't know this person on a deep level. It's very difficult sometimes for people to meet. And I think the message and the people who are carrying on as like youth directors or as people who are doing different things, you know, within the spiritual space, within the spiritual spaces, do need to have just open forums where you're doing service projects together, where you are feeding people on a weekly basis, where you are making sure that people have a space to be able to create things and productivity with one another. You could have an organization, for example, like within the measure that simply just does service projects, and many of us have them. Like every week they come together and they write letters to children who are sick in hospitals, you know, just to like brighten their day, right? Like, or you know what I mean, or just to do it like a collection or a toy drive, or you know, or something where we can all be working together towards a productive goal, and that it provides a safe place for people to meet. But I do think that our religious spaces, like our third spaces and our mosques and our masajid, have to step up, and it has to be with the expectation like, I can't tell you anything about someone's character. Their friends and family, those who they have lived with them, have done business with them, who have traveled with them, those are the people who you need to get in touch with. And people feel weird, like if you're getting to know somebody, you shouldn't feel weird that someone's trying to ask you like, who are your friends, like you know, who are you close to? That shouldn't be a weird you know, like awkward conversation. That's like, everyone needs to know what tree you came off of. Where what fruit do you bear? I want to know. And that should be something that's awkward. But I like I said, I think that like the expectations have to be lower too. It's not like I'm going to create a space where you can get married. No, I'm creating a space where it's safe for you to meet and you can get to know each other. And if you feel comfortable enough to maybe see this person again, then inshallah you can meet this person again and open up an avenue for people.
That's brilliant advice.
Like what I used to do was I did like dinner with 12 strangers, and it was 6 women and 6 men. And it wasn't like we were like trying to hook them up. No, it's six men and 6 women. They came over, they had dinner. We could do this in our religious spaces, and people sign up, and whoever gets to come, and it could be like a really cool thing too. You could have like a really nice dinner, and people can just talk to each other with no expectation of like, that means that this person gets to know this. No, just like get to know the community. And we should be able to have these kinds of interactions with each other, because if we can talk to girls and guys on the metro and on the bus and at work, we should be able to talk to them at the masjid.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this should be the space where people get to know how to communicate in a way that is appropriate. I
Yes.
100% agree with that. I have
Yes.
one question that I'm gonna definitely watch your Marry Mondays, and one of the viewers is telling us how great your Marry Mondays are. I love your Marry Mondays. I watched your Elephant in the Room one. I thought it was brilliant. But I have a question. The last question, I'm gonna wrap it up. I feel it's an amana. A sister is a bit stressed, so I'm gonna quickly ask. She says that I matched with a Muslim brother who said he was never married before, but a quick Google and Instagram search revealed he was actually married. So I don't know what she actually means by that, because she said I don't know if he's still married or if he's divorced.
Yeah, he lied to you. Wait, I'm gonna stop you right there. He lied to you. He said that he didn't have a marital past, and you found out on Google that he'd been married before. That should be enough. It doesn't matter if he's married now or not. Why are you lying, bro? Anything that starts in a lie, we know is not prophetic. The Prophet ﷺ said that the mu'min, he doesn't lie. We can do a whole lot of things, but lying is one of the most serious character flaws. Serious character flaws. He lied, period, done, exactly. You know, I know that's painful. I know that's painful. I know. But, you know what I mean? I just feel like if we don't stand in our worth and in our prophetic tradition like that, then you're allowing someone to lie to you multiple times. Because when you forgive a lie, an initial lie, and you forgive it from day one, that's your day one, girl, like you are inviting more lies in. No, everyone's like, thank you, next. Exactly. It's just wrong. It's just wrong. It's just wrong. And I feel bad. I feel bad for her. You know, I know she probably invested time in this guy. She probably really likes him. Everything else seems to line up. But that's the thing, like, the mu'min doesn't lie. The person of true faith does not lie. Just like we have certain things that we don't like, you know, like character flaws, like disrespectful speech. Someone is speaking disrespectfully about someone else behind their back, and you're thinking, oh, he's special to me. He won't do that to me. Yeah, he will. Yes, she will. Eventually. If someone is talking crap about somebody else and they're talking in a way that's disrespectful, it's only a matter of time before she reaches you with that language. He reaches you with that language. So there are certain things, you know, that we have to be very careful about. Not taking care of an amana, not taking care of a trust. That's a major character flaw where someone basically lends you something and you just like forget about it. Like my debts aren't fulfilled. This is a major character flaw. That's a major character flaw. Treating the people that serve you badly. Treating the people that serve you like at a restaurant or someone who's cleaning up after you and you just throw something on the ground instead of helping them. It's a major character flaw. Being miserly. Being cheap with the other person. Getting you bad quality something or treating you in a way that is dismissive. You know, these are the kinds of things that I think that they're big enough character flaws to make you take pause and say and to address it with that person. You don't have to. It's not on you. Whether you address it or not, you don't have an obligation to do that. But you have the right to say, by the way, I Googled and I saw that you have been married before, and I don't appreciate that you didn't tell me the truth. And next time when you talk to someone else, just be upfront with them. Because a person of true character, they say what they do and they do what they say. Period.
That's great advice. And may Allah make it easy for the sister and grant you somebody that, inshallah, is a truthful person. MashaAllah, inshallah. I'm going to let you go. Jazakumullah khair. Thank you so much for your time. MashaAllah, great wisdom, even though you're not feeling too well. Allah bless you and grant you shifa. And Ameen. And please do pass our salams to all of your family. And we look forward, hopefully, to our next session, inshallah. For those who were asking, the session will be saved on our page, so you can always go back to it, inshallah.
Yeah, and just remember, like, trueness, like the Prophet, I don't know if I said this in the last live, and I'll just say this in just like 30 seconds. The Prophet worked for 40 years on being al-Amin. For 40 years, the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, worked on just doing what he said and saying what he did. He worked on being so trustworthy that he spoke the truth, and that when he promised something and gave an oath, that was his word. And that when he said he was going to return something to you, he would return it in the same condition or an even better condition. The Prophet did that for 40 years. He worked on just that one characteristic. If we could simply adopt that one characteristic, I believe that it gives you the confidence that you need. I believe that it gives you the energy that you need when you are truthful and you are in your word. And I believe that when you are not doing that, that breaks confidence in you. That breaks your own confidence in yourself, and that definitely breaks other people's confidence in you. So please stand up straighter, be in excellence, and say what you do and do what you say. Be al-Amin.
Ameen. May Allah allow us all to be Ameen.
Ameen. Because an amana, just like the actual like root of that, it doesn't just mean to tell the truth. Amana means to be safe. Because the Prophet ﷺ, he was al-Amin, it means that the people around him felt safe. He's safe, he's home base because he tells the truth. Because you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry about his word not being fulfilled. So be safety for people. Be an island for people. Don't go out here lying to people and thinking that you can just, manipulate them. Don't be like that. Don't be like that. Thank you so much, Sophia, for your time.
MashaAllah, even when you're not feeling too well, I feel like, MashaAllah, you are just dropping all these gems. Jazakumullah khair. Thank you so much for your time.
Love you.
Allah bless you and grant you shifa, inshallah. And we look forward to seeing you, inshallah, again soon.
Allah soon. Love you guys. Salam.
Walaikum salam.